Welcome back to Tim's Project Car, where we're demonstrating that we can produce a good hot rod even in an old tool shed. Providing information as best I can as I build this car. Please like and subscribe. Today's going to be about some of the finishing touches so I can finish up the cam break-in, which includes installation of this carburetor. It includes putting on some mufflers so it won't be so deathly loud in here. And also, you'll see a little snippet about the dipstick. I kind of had a miss there. Setting the timing, getting that, within reason. And so we're going to go over how that all happened. Okay, here we are. We have the new carburetor come in the mail. Summit was so nice to mail it to me. It's a Edelbrock AVS2. It's the 800 CFM model. Went a little bit larger. It has this adjustable air door on the back. This is a nice feature. I remember the old thermoquads back when they worked. This was a good feature. Chrysler had police cars with 318s in them with 800 CFM carburetors, so they didn't hesitate or stumble at all when they were new. So this air door is a wonderful feature for that. This has manual choke. I like that feature as well because it works. That's where I'm at with that. The other feature I like very much about these Edelbrocks is you could do these metering rod and spring changes on the fly. You could take the top of the carburetor off basically right at the track. If you're at the track and decided you needed different jets. I have a jet kit for this as well, and so that'll help me to tune the thing in as it needs it. At this point I don't know that it needs it because it's I just took it out of the box, but if I do, then I know that it's easy to do. The 600 that I had was a little bit lean when I began. I'm not going to make any assumptions on this. I'm just going to put it on as is and see how it works and then tune from there. But I like these Edelbrock carburetors. They're, it takes a minute to learn them, but once you learn them, they're actually quite simple and easy to work on. And they keep their tune and they're reliable. So what I'm doing here, I have this air cleaner that I saved off of an old project. It originally came on the Firebird that I had, and I had to make a spacer to make it clear the Edelbrock style carburetor top because it wouldn't sit down flat. But I have plenty of hood clearance with this old car, so I raised it up probably 3/4 of an inch with a spacer that I built for it. Basically out of spare pieces, from a different air cleaner. So, and that works okay. But as you can see, without the spacer, the air cleaner will hit where this is. And I'm not sure if it bothers this or not, but this gets it up out of the way and it'll work fine. I have a couple words about carburetor sizing, whether it be like putting this 800 AVS on a mild 350, or some people saying that you only need about a 600. Both can be true to some extent, but one of the reasons why there's so much confusion is that carburetors are rated at a different vacuum than the engine runs at wide open throttle. Typically when they're dyno testing engines, they want to see wide open throttle to be pulling about 1/2 inch of vacuum. But your carburetor if it's a 4-barrel, typically is rated at 1.5 inches of vacuum. And a carburetor that's rated at 600 CFM at 1.5 inch vacuum is going to be flowing less than 600 at 1/2 inch vacuum. And so if you use one of those calculators where it comes out with a result saying, oh, your 350 only needs 557 CFM, for instance. Well, that calculation is probably true, but a 600 4-barrel probably doesn't flow 557 CFM at 1/2 inch of vacuum. I can't find data online as to what exactly it does flow, but there's a lot of hot rodders that have learned that their engine that supposedly only needs 550 CFM runs much better with a 750 on it. And that's probably because a 600 flows less than 550 at 1/2 inch. And the 750 might flow about 600 at 1/2 inch. I don't know. And so that's where the confusion lies, is that the carburetors are rated at the wrong pressure drop for what you're measuring when you do that calculation. Kind of like how cam companies will have advertised duration versus duration at 50. The advertised duration doesn't really have much utility. In the case of the AVS carburetors, and also like the Holley vacuum secondaries, and there are derivatives of that, you can, from practical purposes, adjust the size of the carburetor with adjustments to the vacuum secondaries. With the AVS, it's just a screw that you turn to adjust the spring tension. On the Holleys and similar, you have springs that you can change. Either way, if your 750 is actually too big, putting a stronger spring has the effect of actually making the carburetor a little bit smaller. And that's why even if you had a stock 350, you could make a 750 Holley work on that if it's vacuum secondary. If it's a double pumper, you might have drivability issues. I shouldn't say might. You probably will have drivability issues because that's more of a racing carburetor or something that wants 400 horsepower or more. But that's what I wanted to say, and that's why I feel confident running such a big carburetor on this engine. Is A, the ratings aren't, the way they rate them is wrong, and B, the AVS is adjustable, so you could adjust this thing down to the size that you need. Okay, the new carburetor is on. It was pretty straightforward because it's essentially just a larger version of the one I took off. I took a piece of welding wire here and just wired the choke open because I forgot to buy a choke cable. So this saves me, making a trip right now. The next step, of course, is connecting the fuel pump to the carburetor. So here we go. I bent up this line, and I believe that'll work pretty well. I'm using this cheap filter for right now because I want it transparent for the time being during initial startup, so I can see how much crap is coming through. And once that's over, I'll put a more appropriate filter on there. Okay, the fuel line is on. As you can see, I got the filter just above where the pump is, and it's in a good spot where you can get at it to change it someday. Comes up around. I plan on putting some brackets here at some point to hold this straight like that. Right now it's just here for run-in purposes, because this valve cover is going to be coming off when I finish the run-in, so I can inspect the valve train, make sure everything's okay. So this is actually ready to start up. I just have to hook a gas line on the inlet side and fuel source, and I should be able to start this thing up. Here's the X-pipe I built. I've been finishing up the last couple of parts on it. Up here, the lengths are unequal because of the whoop-de-doo I had to put on the passenger side header. So the pipe length will be about the same. And on the ends of these go the mufflers. And from there, probably tailpipes, but I'm also going to have a way to uncap them. This here is the type of mufflers that I'm running. They're actually Walkers. They're stock replacement for 76 Z28. The Camaro used just one of these. It was back in the day of the fake dual exhaust, which is why they had 2 outlets and 1 inlet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run small tailpipes off of 1 outlet and cap the other one for street use. And then when I want to take it to the autocross track and have it be a little louder, I'll take the caps off of here. And this should keep the back pressure down. We're only talking about a 350 Chevy anyway with iron heads, so it's not. One debate that I had in my mind, because as you can see, I went with the 3-inch for the X-pipe, but I was debating whether I should go with 2.5-inch since it's such a mild engine. And then it occurred to me, a lot of times when people run headers with collectors extensions, they run the same size as whatever the header outlet is, And so this here is, well, that's 20 inches. This basically represents running a 40-inch collector extension, which is a bit long, but with the X in it. And so if you wanted to uncap it here at the drag strip, that's essentially what you would have is collector extensions. And so I decided to go with 3-inch for that reason, though I don't know if it's correct. I think with it necking down to smaller size from the muffler back, I don't think that it's going to be oversized at all, but it's a matter of opinion, and I haven't yet seen, any dyno tests showing what difference it makes as far as the size of your X-pipe, but that was my guess, and that was my thinking. Here's a quick look at the back end with the mufflers on. They're obviously low. I just have them propped up on those blocking because I haven't put in the hangers yet. They're going to have to be lifted up higher. But you can see how that is going to work. The inner 2 are going to have caps on them for street use, and the outer 2 are going to have tailpipes on them. Right now I have the drums taken off and the tires taken off as a safety precaution in case it kicked into gear accidentally. It can't, fall and take off and run me over in my barn. So there's a quick look at that. Okay, note to self. Don't forget to install the dipstick. This is what happens. You end up thinking, oh my god, why is it smoking? Oh, because the oil is spitting out of the dipstick hole onto your exhaust. So, you know, I hate to expose my mistakes, but that one was dumb and funny enough, I might as well. Okay, I've been looking at the instructions of the carburetor and the ignition. This is the instructions to the ignition. And what I'm finding out is when I was checking timing on the engine, the total timing was only like 30 or 31. And as you see here, I have the silver springs in there, and it says at 1,000 RPMs, it's already, the mechanical is already in 8 degrees. And at 6,000, it goes to 24 degrees. So what this is telling me is I have to time it by total timing, because the engine isn't going to want to idle at 500 where it's 0. It also tells me I got to buy a tachometer, so I know, because I revved it up pretty good, but it could have been at 5,000 where it's 21 degrees. Right now it's showing me a total timing of 30 or 31 from what I observed. So from here, that's the next step is to get a tachometer, and that way I can more accurately know where I am on this chart when I'm checking it. It came with extra parts. You know, you have extra advanced springs. I'm not sure what the plastic screws do. It tells you to use them in a performance, but I don't know if it locks the distributor out or what it does. The vacuum advance, it says here it's preset to 16 degrees. I'm seeing about 12 degrees in my case, but I think that's probably true, because my idle vacuum was almost 20 degrees. This is a wide lobe separation cam, so you know you're going to have a lot of idle vacuum, which is good because I wanted my power brakes to work. I was looking at the idle settings for the carburetor, and what I'm finding here is some of those people online that say set it to 2.5 turns or set it to 1.5 turns. The instructions don't tell you a specific one, okay? It just says to, you turn it clockwise to lean it, you turn it counterclockwise to richen it. So far I have mine set at 1 turn, and it still may be too rich. I don't have an O2 sensor in the car, so I wouldn't know if it's 14 to 1 or 12 to 1. I wouldn't know. But what I'm going to do is each time I run it, I'm going to mess with that a little and see if I can get it a bit leaner, because I noticed from my fuel supply that sitting here running in the cam, it's using a lot of gas. So it's probably plenty rich. So this is as much as I have so far. Here's the instructions on how to set the AVS, which is very simple. You have a lock screw and you have an adjuster screw. And you set it by vacuum. You go out and road test, see what the manifold vacuum drops to at full throttle. If it's above 1 inch, then you know that the spring is too tight. If you're getting down close to 1/2 inch of vacuum at full throttle, you got that door set pretty close to correct. And that's similar to how you would change springs on a vacuum secondary Holly. You just want wide open throttle to be as low as you can get on vacuum at wide open throttle without it stumbling when you step on it. All right, that's as much as I can tell right now.